Chosen ones, God will not help you until you do this immediately. Do this now. In the shadowed valleys of Eldoria, where ancient mountains pierced the heavens and rivers whispered secrets older than time, there lived a young woman named Elara. She was one of the chosen ones, marked from birth by a faint, glowing sigil on her palm that only appeared under the light of a full moon. The elders of her village spoke of the chosen in hushed tones, souls selected by the divine to carry great burdens, to shift the tides of fate, and to restore balance when the world teetered on the edge of darkness. Elara had always known she was different. Dreams plagued her nights, visions of crumbling kingdoms, shadowy figures devouring light, and a distant voice calling her name. Yet for years, she lived an ordinary life, tending to her family's modest farm, helping neighbors, and praying in the small temple at the village square. She begged the gods for guidance, for strength, for a sign that her purpose was real, but the heavens remained silent. No miracles came, no divine intervention lifted her from her struggles. Her crops withered in drought, her mother fell ill, and the darkness she saw in her dreams began creeping into the world, villages raided by unseen forces, skies turning unnaturally gray, and whispers of an ancient evil awakening. One stormy evening, as thunder rattled the windows of her humble home, Elara knelt before her altar once more. Tears streamed down her face as she cried out, "Why have you forsaken me? I am one of your chosen. Where is your help? Where is your light in this endless night?" In the flickering candlelight, an old traveler appeared at her door, soaked from the rain, cloaked in rags, with eyes that gleamed like stars. He was no ordinary wanderer. The village knew him as Thorn, a hermit who roamed the mountains, claiming to hear the voice of the divine directly. Few believed him, but Elara, desperate, invited him in. "You pray for help," Thorn said, his voice gravelly yet kind as he warmed his hands by the fire. "But the gods do not answer." Elara's heart sank. "Then what hope is there for me, for any of us?" Thorn smiled faintly. "The chosen ones are not puppets on divine strings. God will not help you, not yet, not until you do this immediately." He leaned forward, his gaze piercing. "You must surrender your illusion of control. You must act first with unwavering faith, without waiting for a sign. Do this now. Take the first step into the unknown, trusting that the path will reveal itself only after you move." Elara frowned. "But I've prayed, I've waited. Isn't faith about trusting God to provide?" "True faith," Thorn replied, "is not passive waiting. It is active surrender. The divine planted the seed of purpose in you, but you must water it with action. God helps those who help themselves, not out of abandonment, but because the greatest miracles are co-created. Until you release your fear, your need for proof, and step forward blindly, the door remains closed." He told her a story then of another chosen one long ago, a warrior named Kale who faced a similar darkness. Kale prayed for years as his kingdom fell. Armies crumbled, allies fled, and evil encroached. He begged for divine armies, for thunderbolts from the sky. Nothing came. In despair, Kale finally stood alone on a battlefield, sword in hand, and charged into the heart of the enemy, not because he felt ready, not because he had a sign, but because he chose to act in faith. In that moment of surrender, as he ran towards certain death, the skies cracked open, light poured down, allies long thought lost appeared from the mist, and the evil shattered like glass. "The help was always there," Thorn said, "waiting for Kale to move first. God will not force your hand. He honors your free will. Do this now, Elara, immediately." The old man left as mysteriously as he arrived, vanishing into the storm. Elara sat in silence, the weight of his words pressing upon her. Fear gripped her heart. What if she failed? What if the step led to ruin? But the dreams grew darker, her mother's breaths weaker. She could wait no longer. That very night, under the pouring rain, Elara did it. She packed a small satchel with bread, a dagger, and her mother's healing herbs. She kissed her sleeping mother's forehead, whispered a final prayer, not for help, but for courage, and stepped out into the storm. She didn't know where to go, only that the dreams pointed toward the forbidden peaks where the source of the darkness was said to dwell. The journey was grueling. Muddy paths turned to treacherous cliffs. Wild beasts stalked her. Doubt whispered in her ear, "Turn back, God has not shown you the way." But each time she pressed on, surrendering her need for certainty. On the third day, exhausted and lost in a dense fog, Elara collapsed against a rock. "I've done it," she whispered to the heavens. "I've taken the step. Now, help me." And then it happened. The fog parted. A warm glow enveloped her, the sigil on her palm blazing brightly for the first time in sunlight. From the mist emerged figures, other chosen ones, drawn by the same unspoken call. A healer who mended her wounds with miraculous touch, a warrior who had been waiting in hiding, an elder sage carrying ancient scrolls that revealed the weakness of the darkness. Together they ascended the peaks. Battles raged, not won by divine lightning alone, but by their courage amplified 1,000-fold. Elara led the charge, her faith now unbreakable. The evil and ancient shadow born of humanity's forgotten fears crumbled before their united light. When peace returned to Eldoria, Elara stood atop the highest mountain, gazing at the restored skies. She understood now. God had never abandoned her. The help was always poised, waiting for her to act, to surrender control, and move immediately into faith. And to all the chosen ones who would come after her, the legend was passed down. God will not help you until you do this immediately. Release your waiting. Take the step. Do this now. For in that sacred act of trust, the divine rushes in to meet you halfway, and miracles are born. In the ancient realm of Eldoria, where mist-shrouded mountains rose like silent guardians against the endless sky, and rivers carved paths through lush valleys teeming with forgotten lore, the world balanced on the edge of myth and reality. Eldoria was a land of contrasts, golden fields that yielded bountiful harvests in times of peace, yet could turn barren under the shadow of unseen curses. Its people, hardy folk descended from warriors and sages of old, whispered tales of the chosen ones, individuals marked by the divine with a destiny to protect the fragile equilibrium between light and darkness. These chosen were not born of royalty or great lineage. They emerged from the humblest corners, their purpose etched into their very souls. Elara Voss was one such soul. Born under a blood moon 25 years prior in the remote village of Thornbrook, nestled at the foot of the Whispering Peaks, she bore the mark, a subtle, iridescent sigil on her left palm, resembling intertwined vines that glowed faintly only when the full moon's light bathed it. As a child, the village elders had examined it with awe and trepidation, reciting prophecies from dusty scrolls. "The chosen shall rise when shadows lengthen," they intoned. "They will bear the weight of worlds, but only if they heed the call." Elara's parents, simple farmers named Mira and Thorn, though no relation to the hermit who would later change her life, raised her with love but caution, teaching her to hide the mark, lest it draw envy or danger. Growing up, Elara's life was a tapestry of ordinary toil woven with threads of the extraordinary. By day, she worked the fields, her hands calloused from plowing earth and harvesting wheat under the relentless sun. She mended fences, milked goats, and bartered at the weekly market, where merchants from distant cities traded spices and silks. Evenings brought moments of quiet joy,
storytelling by the hearth with her younger siblings, Lyra and Finn, or helping her mother weave baskets from river reeds. But the nights, oh, the nights were different. Plagued by vivid dreams since adolescence, Elara would awaken in cold sweats, her mind filled with harrowing visions. She saw kingdoms aflame, shadowy tendrils devouring the light from stars, and a colossal entity, a formless void known in legends as the Abyss, stirring from its slumber deep within the forbidden peaks. A voice, ethereal and urgent, echoed in her ears. "Elara, awaken, the balance falters." For years, Elara sought solace in the village temple, a modest stone structure adorned with carvings of ancient gods. She prayed fervently to the divine pantheon, to Eloria, goddess of light and renewal, to Vorath, god of strength and storms, and to the All-Father, the unseen force binding all. "Guide me," she pleaded on her knees, the sigil on her palm tingling as if in response. "If I am chosen, show me the path. Send your aid, for the darkness grows." But the gods remained silent. No thunderous voice boomed from the heavens. No miraculous light illuminated her way. Instead, misfortune piled upon her like gathering storm clouds. A blight struck the crops, turning golden wheat to ash-gray husks. Her father perished in a sudden landslide while foraging in the hills, leaving the family destitute. Then her mother fell gravely ill, her once vibrant eyes dulled by a fever that no herb or healer could cure. The village itself suffered, raids by ethereal bandits, creatures of shadow that vanished like smoke, left homes ransacked and families broken. Whispers spread of the Abyss awakening, feeding on despair. Elara's faith wavered, yet she clung to it like a drowning sailor to driftwood. "Why?" she demanded in her private moments, staring at the sigil. "If I am meant for greatness, why this suffering? Where is the help promised in the scrolls?" Friends urged her to marry, to settle into a normal life, but Elara refused, sensing an inner fire that refused to be quenched. She studied forbidden texts smuggled from the city libraries, learning of past chosen ones who had turned tides with divine intervention. Still, nothing came. It was on a fateful autumn evening, as the first winter storm howled down from the peaks, that change arrived. Thunder cracked like the god's own fury, and rain lashed the thatched roof of Elara's cottage. Inside, by the dim glow of a single candle, she knelt before a makeshift altar, a wooden plank etched with runes, adorned with dried flowers, and a small idol of Eloria. Her mother's labored breaths filled the room from the adjacent bed. Tears mingled with sweat on Elara's face as she prayed once more. "Divine ones, hear your chosen. The shadows encroach, my people suffer. If not for me, for them, send your mercy." A pounding at the door startled her. Opening it revealed a cloaked figure, drenched and weary, leaning on a gnarled staff. "Shelter, lass," the old man rasped, his voice cutting through the gale. Elara hesitated, but compassion won. She ushered him in, offering a blanket and a bowl of thin stew.
The stranger's name was Thorn, the hermit of the Whispering Peaks, a reclusive sage rumored to commune with spirits. His eyes, sharp and silver like polished steel, seemed to pierce souls. As he warmed by the fire, he noticed Elara's sigil, now faintly glowing in the candlelight. "Ah," he murmured, "a chosen one, and yet you weep as if abandoned." Elara poured out her heart, the dreams, the losses, the unanswered prayers. "The gods ignore me. What use is this mark if heaven withholds its hand?" Thorn chuckled softly, a sound like rustling leaves. "Child, you misunderstand. God, the divine, the All-Father, will not help you, not until you do this immediately." He fixed her with an intense gaze. "You must surrender. Release your grip on certainty, on waiting for signs. Act now in blind faith. Take the first step into the void, and only then will the path illuminate." Elara recoiled. "But faith is trust in the divine to provide. I've waited patiently." "Patience without action is stagnation," Thorn interrupted. "The gods honor free will. They plant the seed of destiny, but you must till the soil. Help comes not to the idle beggar, but to the warrior who charges forth, trusting the blade will find its mark." To illustrate, he wove a tale from Eldoria's annals, his voice rising and falling like the storm outside. "Long ago, in the age of fractures, another chosen rose, Kale the unyielding, a blacksmith from the coastal cliffs. Like you, he bore the sigil and dreamed of encroaching doom, a horde of shadow beasts summoned by a fallen sorcerer. His kingdom crumbled, walls breached, allies scattered, his family slain. Kale prayed atop the highest tower, beseeching the gods for armies of light, for bolts of divine wrath. Silence answered. Despair clawed at him, but in his darkest hour a vision came, not a command, but a whisper. Move, and I shall follow. Kale descended the tower, alone and armored in naught but faith. He forged a sword from his anvil, not waiting for celestial steel. He marched to the battlefield, where the horde awaited. As he charged, screaming defiance, the ground trembled, not from fear, but from awakening power. The skies parted, rays of Eleoria's light pierced the clouds, igniting his blade. Allies, thought lost, emerged from hiding, drawn by an unseen call. The shadow beasts recoiled, their forms dissolving. Kale's single step unleashed the miracle. Thorn paused, his eyes distant. God did not help until Kale acted. Do this now, Elara, immediately. The abyss stirs because the chosen wait. Surrender your doubt, step forward. As the storm subsided, Thorn vanished into the night, leaving only his staff as a token. Elara pondered his words through sleepless hours, wrestling with fear. What if action led to death? What if she abandoned her mother in vain? But dawn brought clarity. Waiting had yielded only decay. She prepared quietly, packing provisions, a cloak, her father's old dagger, and a vial of her mother's herbs. Kissing Mira's fevered brow, she whispered, "I go to save us all." With Thorn's staff in hand, she ventured into the rain-soaked wilds, heading toward the forbidden peaks, guided only by her dreams. The journey tested her to the core. Muddy trails turned to jagged ravines, where Elara slipped and bruised her limbs. Wolves howled in pursuit, their eyes glowing with unnatural hunger. Minions of the abyss, she sensed. Hunger gnawed at her belly. Doubt assaulted her mind. Foolish girl, turn back. No sign has come. Yet each time she surrendered anew, whispering, "I act in faith." On the second night, besieged by a spectral fog that whispered lies of failure, she pressed on, the sigil warming her palm like a beacon. By the third day, atop a precarious ledge, exhaustion claimed her. Collapsing, she cried, "I've stepped forward. Now, divine, meet me." The fog lifted abruptly. The sigil blazed, illuminating the mist. From it emerged silhouettes. First, a healer named Soren, his hands aglow with restorative energy, who mended her wounds and spoke of his own summoning dreams. Then a warrior, Brienne, clad in battered armor, who had wandered lost until the light called her. An elder sage, Leora, joined them, bearing scrolls detailing the abyss's origins, a primordial entity born from collective fears, vulnerable only to unified faith. United as chosen ones, they ascended. The peaks revealed horrors, twisted caverns where shadows coalesced into beasts, illusions of lost loved ones begging retreat. Battles ensued, Elara wielding Thorn's staff like a conduit of light, Soren healing mid-fray, Brienne slashing with fury, Leora chanting wards from the scrolls. Doubt resurfaced, but each surrender amplified their power. At the summit, in the abyss's lair, a yawning chasm pulsing with void, they confronted the entity. It roared, manifesting as a colossal maw of darkness, feeding on their fears. "Yield," it bellowed. "The gods abandon you." But Elara, heart pounding, stepped first. "We surrender not to you, but to faith." She charged, the others following. In that instant, the divine intervened. Winds from Vorath whipped the shadows. Light from Elara pierced the core. The abyss shrieked, fracturing into harmless wisps. Victory brought renewal. Eldoria's skies cleared, blights lifted, illnesses healed, including Mira's. Elara returned a hero, but humbled. She etched the lesson into temple walls. Chosen ones, God will not help until you do this immediately. Surrender waiting, act in faith. Do this now. Generations later, the tale endured, a beacon for all. Miracles bloom not in idleness, but in the bold leap of trust. And so, the balance held, co-created by mortal will and divine grace.